This video will show you how to replace the air filter housing on a Toyota Matrix. This will be located along the driver's side of your engine compartment. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. To remove the air filter housing, the first thing I always like to do is remove my air filter. To do that, we're going to separate the upper housing from the lower housing. You're going to find you have two locking clips. For either of them, just push them out of place. After that, you can take hold of the upper housing. We're going to rock this portion up. We'll pull it towards the outer edge of the driver's side fender here, pulling it away from the inboard side there. It's a hinge point. At this point, we can lift this up far enough to remove the air filter. Just go ahead and give that a quick inspection, make sure it's reusable, we'll set it aside. Now we can focus on where the mass airflow sensor is. As you can tell, this area is pretty dirty on our particular vehicle, so I'm just going to give this a quick wipe with a clean rag. We'll continue on with our electrical connector. It has a locking tab along the top. You should be able to squeeze that in. Once you have it squeezed, go ahead and pull it out of place. A quick inspection for corrosion. If you see any, it needs to be taken care of. This looks fine. We'll set that wiring aside. We'll remove our mass airflow sensor next. This is held in place with two Phillips head screws. Remove the pair. A thorough inspection of all hardware as we continue on, replace as necessary. Take hold of the mass airflow sensor and we'll lift it up and out of place. Just go ahead and give that a quick inspection, make sure it's not damaged in any way. We'll set it aside, we will be reusing it. With that out of position, we're back to focusing on our wiring harness. We can see that there's a bracket holding this in place. We'll use our 10mm to remove the hardware. Now we should be able to take hold of this. I'm going to pry it up and out of place. Now that we have that dislodged and set aside, let's move along to the area that the air inlet tube connects to our air filter housing. There's a 10mm headed clamp holding these two areas together. We'll take hold of the inlet tube and the air filter housing, attempt to separate the two. Take hold of this upper portion. We can remove that. We'll set that aside. With that upper housing out of the way, let's focus down along the rearward portion of the lower housing. We still have another mounting point for our wiring harness. I'm going to dislodge that. I'm just using a trim tool. You can use pretty much anything as a small prying device. Let's pull that up and out of place. We'll start dislodging the lower portion of the air filter housing next. You're going to find that you have three 10mm headed bolts holding this down. It's common for these to be rusted in place. Now let's move along to the next mounting bolt down in this lower corner. There's our next piece of hardware. And our last piece of hardware towards the inboard side here. With the bolts out of the way, let's look right along this area. We can see the inlet tube leading into the air filter housing. This is actually going to separate from the air filter housing. Just take hold of both and gently press. There we are. Should be able to lift this up just enough that we can slide it out of position. There it is, friend. Now, prior to installation, let's make sure we clean the mounting surface. I'm just using a clean rag. Let's get ready to install our air filter housing. We're going to separate the upper housing from the lower housing. We'll just dislodge our two locking clips. We'll set the upper portion aside and we're dealing with the lower portion first. Let's get this in position. I'm coming in towards the engine here and then we're focusing on this area. We have a small tube that needs to slide into the lower housing. Once you have it aligned, we'll press that inward. We can hear an audible click, a light tug. That tube should not slide out of place. Now we have three pieces of mounting hardware to hold this down. Let's line it up, start them in, and snug them up. Let's get our bolt in there. Last one. All right, let's tighten them up. this one over here. And the last one right along this area. Let's get the air filter in place. As for the corners on the air filter, one of them is squared off. That's going to go on the forward outer corner. With that on there, let's focus down along the backside here. We have that one mounting point for a wiring harness. I like to get that in place before installing that upper housing. Now it's time for the upper air filter housing. Along the inboard side, closest to the engine, is the hinge point. That's going to slide down and in first. We'll roll this down and lock it in with our 2 locking tabs. There we are. We'll press this down. 1, 2. We're paying attention to the air inlet tube next. We want to have this aligned with the air filter housing. When I was bringing it in, it aligned perfectly, so it's already on and pressed in as far as possible. Make sure it's up against this area and tighten your 10mm headed clamp. Along the back side of the air filter housing, we have the area for our wiring harness. The bracket has a small tab. That's going to slide down into this area. Once you have that slid down, we're aligning the mounting bolt port, starting in the mounting bolt, and tightening it. Let's get our mass airflow sensor in place. Make sure you have it in the proper orientation, so the wire connector is facing towards the rear of the vehicle. Once you have it pressed onto the air filter housing, you have your 2 Phillips head screws. Start them in and snug them up. Double check to make sure that's secured, and we have our electrical connector next. Press it in, listen for a click. After that click, just make sure it's secured as well. Okay, friend, we finished the installation of our air filter housing. The next thing you need to do is make your way into the passenger compartment. Start the vehicle and make sure you have no running condition or check engine light. Close the hood and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.